Hey guys, Sean here from God's Service Center. Today we're doing a PS3 Fat. One of these guys here. This is the 60 gig, but the one we're going to repair today is a 40 gig. But we've already stripped it down, so really cleaned it up and everything, and it gave me the board. So what I want to do is I just want to show you what it looks like. Let's turn it that way so you guys can see properly. I'm sure you remember the old PS3 60 gig, well, the PS3 Fats. This one that we got today, it had a lightning, the people had lightning at their home, and it looks to me like that, it looks to me that the lightning could have come through the HDMI, well, it depends, it might have been the HDMI side, but I got a feeling it's come through the LAN side. On the PS3, I think it definitely came through on the HDMI side, because there's no visuals. So today we're going to, I'll show you what we're going to do to actually fix this one. This is just an old one, a scrap one we got on the shelf here. Just going to put it down at the bottom here for so long. All right. So to get this one repaired, I think it's the HDMI IC. So I've checked the filters on the filter side. It's not the filters. I'm just going to check on the. I'm going to try and do the HDMI IC on it, and hopefully that's where the problem is. I don't see anything else wrong. This is a very different IC. It's not like the PS4s. This IC is bald, and it's not a. Let me just try and see if I can find it. Yeah, let me grab the old one quickly. So the later versions of PlayStations came out with the a Panasonic HDMI IC, where the first PS3s came out with the, let me just double check the name again, silicone image. If you have a look, let me just try and hold it under the microscope here for you guys. It's going to get in focus. So that's the HDMI IC that needs to be replaced. You'll see it on the top there. So the older ones came out with silicone image, Vast Lane, SCEI. I'm not going to read the whole name, but anyway, so let me show you the bottom of it. Let's try and get it in view again and get it focused. As you can see, it's got no little legs or anything, so it needs to be reballed. And unfortunately, I don't have a stencil for this one, so I've got to reball this one by hand. So let me just quickly put the camera onto the. I've started reballing it. I actually started the repair, and I thought to myself, you know what? Let me try and maybe do a video for you guys on this, because it might be interesting just to show you guys how we can still repair the old retro consoles. I just want to make sure that I'm on focus here. Yeah, I got focus so I can see properly. So while I'm doing this, I'm going to quickly, I'll chat about it and everything, and then we can take from there. As you can see, I've just got a few more little balls to do, and then once those are reballed, you'll see the shiny parts there are the ones that I still need to do. There might be a delay on my audio, guys. I'm sorry. I'm trying to save up some bucks to try and get some decent camera equipment. But I guess at the end of the day, just to, you know, show you guys that you guys can sort of see what I'm doing. It still helps, you know, even though there might be a delay on the audio side. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's OBS that I'm using. I don't know if it's this stupid HK Vision camera that I got here. The audio, I used to use another microphone. I've removed that completely now because I see this audio from the C920, what's this, Logitech C920 is much better than from the cheap microphone I bought for $4.99. That's 499 Rand, not dollars. So in dollars it's probably like $20 or $5. Sorry, our Rand is very bad to the dollar, so it's probably very little. You can see there's a flickering on the screen also. But anyway, let's get into the repair. Let's just change the view here quickly for you guys. Make sure we get it onto, okay, that's table. We don't want table, we want it there. Right. I hope the audio is okay. I know it's not going to be as clear. Doesn't have a pop filter and all these fancy things, but at least I'm sure it's going to be better than the last couple of videos I've done. And that's why I haven't been doing any videos, because I've been struggling, really struggling to get some decent audio out of whatever I'm using now. but I'm going to try and get, I'll try and get more equipment. It's just in South Africa it's very expensive, so as I get money and I make a bit of bucks, I'll start getting some decent audio for you guys. So anyway, let's just quickly have a look here. So the thing was with this one, so just give me 1 second quickly. The thing is with this chip, this IC chip, I've probably replaced one maybe 8 years ago, 9 years ago, so I couldn't even remember what the ball size was. And when I say the ball size, let's just try and zoom you guys in a little bit more. So as you can see, these little balls here, there's different sizes depending on the chip. So I started having a look at these little balls here. So these are 0.5 millimeters, 0.5 millimeters. So what I did was I first took one out of the little tub. I started with a 0.76 and I put it onto one of these little clean areas where there's no solder ball on yet. I've got an ant walking on my table, sorry, I said to remove the ant there. So let me just try and get it in a little bit closer. Wait, let me use a different tool for this, one of those sharp edge. Okay, so on these little shiny parts I started putting a 0.76 on there, and then I could see no, 0.76 is going to be huge. The 0.76 we usually use on the Wi-Fi, little Wi-Fi modules for the PS4s and a couple of other things, but 0.76 is too big. It covers that whole dot. So I thought, okay, on the south bridges for the PS4s and Xboxes, well, mainly PS4s, we use a 0.5. So I checked the size and I put a 0.5 just to check what it looks like on the chip, and it looks like it's a 0.5 millimeter. So if you don't know, we're going to use 0.5. I'm probably going to struggle with this because I don't have a stencil, and I'm going to try and do it by hand to heat it up and to make these balls stick to the board. So I'm not using a hot plate, which is a hell of a lot easier. I got a guy that I went and saw last week. He does a couple of repair equipment and he's got a nice hot plate, also very expensive, but I'm going to probably get the hot plate. It will make this the flowing of the balls onto the chip much easier than a hot air station, because a hot air station obviously blows everything away. Alright, let's get started. So let's just finish up these last 2 rows and then we can try and use some hot air to melt it onto the chip. Then we've got to clean up the board quickly, take all the solder off, line it up, reflow it onto the board, and let's see. Hopefully this is the problem. I don't even know if this is the problem. We'll see. Usually it's HDMI IC on every other console. Why would it not be on a PS3? Alt 40 gig. So let's get to it. Let's give me 1 second. Alright, let's just grab the tool again. Alright, so let's just move these last few on there. So with these chips, when you move, I'm just going to move some of these off the board just because it looks like we got too many there. It just makes it easier. But it looks, when you actually, I'm just going to get in a little bit closer onto this last row quickly just so I can see what I'm doing. Let's just move that back up so it's in view for you guys. Let's try and see if I can focus it up a little bit better. Okay, that looks cool. Alright, so when you're moving these little balls to each little dot, it's actually got a little bit of an indent. So it's almost like that old game you used to play where you had to try and get the balls in the little holes by moving the whole game thing, you know, left and right, left and right. So it's similar to that. Just got to get them into that little area there and make sure they sit on those little pads. And if they sit on the pads, then that's all we need to do, is we need to flow it with a hot air station. This can't be done, sorry if there's a bit of a noise in the background. We got quite a windy day here in Johannesburg, South Africa, here in Johannesburg. So everything's blowing, the doors are blowing, windows are blowing. So yeah, we've got a bit of wind to the side. So anyway, as I was saying, let's just get a couple more on top here. Just grab my tweezers so I can hold the chip so it doesn't move. So let me get it closer to the top edge, just so I can hold it properly. You guys still in view there? Yeah, you can still see. So what you might find is that these balls stick to whatever tool you're using. Then all you do is you take a little bit of, you take some alcohol or something, just clean the tool that you're using, because this flux, you've got to flux the chip before the time, and the flux obviously gets a little bit sticky, starts sticking to the balls, and then it sticks to your tool. That sounded, that didn't sound so right, but anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about. If you were on audio only now, I think we might have a problem. Okay. Anyway, let's get these excess ones out of the way here. All right, we don't want it to melt at the bottom of the chip. What I'm going to do is, you'll see there's quite a couple of excess ones here. I usually keep them one side, just in case when I start heating it up, maybe one or two balls might float away or something. Then I can always use these few excess ones to try and just fill them back in again. Alright, so let me just move these up. I know it's out of view a little bit here. Alright, let's just get the chip back in view again, and then what we need to do is we need to reflow it. So we make 100% sure every one of them are in line. To zoom you guys back out so you can see properly. Some focus, so focus. Alright, more focus. Okay, that's probably the best we're going to get because it's a bit further out. Yeah, what you guys see, like I mentioned before, on the screen, and what I see through the microscope is a different view. But as you can see, all the little balls are now onto the pads, and obviously, like I said before, the time we put flux down first to make the ball stick to each little pad. Alright, cool. So we're going to use the hot air station. It's probably going to make a noise now because it's like a vacuum cleaner. It actually doesn't suck, it blows. Okay, so it blows air. Alright, blows air, doesn't suck air. Alright, so many words in this video. If I said them together, it wouldn't have sounded very good. But anyway, let's get back to it. Alright, so with a hot air station, I think, let me change the view here quickly because I need to show you guys this. Give me a sec, let's just show you. Alright, so you're still not going to be able to really see it. No, you're still not going to be able to see it. Okay, anyway, just move the microscope out the way there. So this is the hot air station. It's got a compressor built in, obviously blows air. This is the tool. As you can hear, it blows air, and that's what the front looks like. So that gets very hot, blows hot air through the tube. So with these chips, you can actually hear it picking up. That's as I put it down back onto the docking station, because what it does is it cools the element down. So you cannot use that much air, because if you use that much air, you're just going to blow all the balls away. Okay, so we've got to set it down. We've got to set our air down. It's got a display on it. It's just difficult to show you guys now, but it's got a display on it for your heat temperature, and then obviously your airflow speed, how much airflow you want. So this one we're going to use a lot less air. We're not going to use a lot of air, because as you can see from sorry, you could see from there, that picture at the top there, sorry, you can see on the little picture on the top right of your screen, those little balls are very light and they'll blow away very easily. Alright, so let's change the view back down to the microscope, and let's see if this is going to work. I'm hoping all the time I put into this, it's going to work. So I might make a bit of noise now. We're going to use the hot air station. I'm just going to bring the air speed down. I'm going to bring the temperature. Let me just quickly check. I think I've got settings in here. I'm going to start at 380 degrees Celsius, and I'm going to set my air speed at about 15, 14. Let's do it at 14. So we set that at 14. So that's very, very light. It's like basically just getting the heat out. Okay, so let's see. Hopefully we don't mess this up. Alright, so I'm going to start coming in with the hot air now. Let me just see. I think I've got a better view here for you guys, so you can see it from the top. And okay, the bottom right, you can see that's the top view, but you're not going to really be able to see much. No, the microscope's a bit in the way, but at least on the top right you can sort of see what I'm doing. Alright, so I'm just going to bring it in very slowly, and then I'm just going to slowly let the chip itself start heating up, because if the chip itself doesn't heat up first, I'm just going to zoom out a little bit further. Just going to get you guys in view again. Focused. Am I focused? Yes. Okay. So if you can actually, if the chip itself doesn't heat up first, and only the balls start heating up, obviously it's not going to what you call it, bond to the chip. So you need to try and sort of, in a way, heat the chip up first before you heat the balls up also. They should both heat up at the same time, otherwise nothing will bond. So, and if you don't have flux on the chip first, a very thin layer of flux, then it also won't happen. I want to try and see if I can get you guys in a little bit closer, because I want to see what happens when the balls start melting. I'm just going to keep the heat there. I'm just going to change the view again for you guys. Okay, let's get onto the chip, and then I want to show you what happens. It's actually like magic how these little balls just start bobbing around and jumping to the pads at the right place. You'll see some of them are a little bit off. They're not perfectly the right place, but you'll see once they start heating up what actually happens. I must warn you guys, it's a slow process, so the video might be a bit long, so I'm sorry about that. There's nothing you can do. Some repairs just take an hour or two, some repairs take 5 minutes. So if you look carefully, you might actually see these little balls starting to move. Just going to see if I can focus you guys in a little bit better, yeah. Sorry guys, that's the best I'm going to get, but you'll see when everything starts happening what actually happens. It's actually quite cool. It really looks so nice when they jump to the right places. Alright, so I'm bringing the hot air a little bit closer now. Okay, you might see some of them. There's one on the left hand side that's starting to discolor a bit, so that means the solder ball itself is reaching its melting point. Okay, so we're going to start on the bottom left corner. I'm going to try and get that area to start heating up first, and then popping onto the pad. You'll actually just keep an eye on the bottom left corner. You'll see how they start jumping and melting onto the pad. There we go. First one on the bottom left's gone. There we go. There we go. You can see the movement starting to happen. Alright. I hope you guys can see that. Sorry, I can't look up now at the screen to see if you guys can see what I would see. But you can see them starting to move. Looks like they actually come alive. Alright, you can see them popping onto their pads. Alright, so all of them are moving now. So the chip's starting to heat up. The balls are starting to warm up. Just going to move angle a little bit. I'm going to start coming in from the front end now and do the bottom right hand side. I think we're mainly done already. I'm going to go to the top right now quickly. There's one little ball on the top right by the copper edge. I can see it's not in place. It's not melted yet. Right, let's just check. Get that one to melt. Looking good. I think we basically got it. The middle area, I'm just not too happy about the middle yet. Okay, the middle area is starting to get very shiny. Sorry, I might block your view a little bit. Let's just quickly see. So what I'll do next is I might just pump up the speed of the air a little bit, but very little, and then just give another just go over it again. Alright, so you can see already what it looks like. They all jumped into place. I'm just going to move up the airspeed a little bit, and I think I'm going to go up with the heat to about 420. You don't want to go too high because the green area on the chip itself can start bubbling. Okay, so airspeed I'm going to put on 25. Alright, setting it up. Alright, now I'm going to go in very slowly just to make sure I still don't blow anything away, because they can, maybe the one or two are not on the pads properly. and then I might have to redo everything again, or take all the balls off of that area and redo it again. But yeah, they're looking good. They're looking good. Please just don't blow away whatever you guys do. Don't blow away, because then it takes a bit of time. Because then we've got to come in with some copper wick, wick out the ones that maybe bounce and double up against each other, and then we've got to redo that area. And if it's in the middle, it becomes a bit of a mission. Alright, I think we're basically okay now. Alright, so I'm going to just give it some time to just going to make sure the heat's in the chip all over the place. Alright, that's it. Alright, now we're just going to give it some time to cool down properly. Let's just zoom you guys out a little bit more again. There we go. As you can see, all the little balls are now onto the chip on each pad, and I hope you can see them actually changing color a little bit. They're bouncing around, so that's when they start cooling down. So if you keep your eye on the video, on the image, you'll see they become like a matte color. They're not as shiny anymore. So when you see that, you know the chip's starting to cool down, but we don't want to touch it yet. Change the view again quickly for you guys. So we don't want to touch it yet, because if we do touch it now, some of these little balls, they might still be a little bit, you know, soft. So if they're a bit soft in that, and you do touch them, then they might just smear. They become very, very soft, like you know, like obviously what solder would do. It would smear. So let's just give it some time to cool down. That's why I use this towel. I use a normal towel to do all my work on, because it is a bit anti-static. Not that it really matters that much, but what's nice is the towel. Also, some of the towels, like this one here, heats up from the bottom while heating from the top, so it keeps the heat in. So you can get it from both sides. So now next, what we want to do is I'm going to clean this this chip with a brush. I'll show you well, you can't see it from there, but that's what the brush looks like, and a bit of isopropanol alcohol. So once we do that, then we'll also see if any of the balls are loose. If they are loose, then we know for sure there's one or two we might have to replace. But if they come off now, it's much easier than them jumping together, you know, and melting together, because when they melt together, you have to reball that area again. And usually with a copper wick, if I show you on the image, you look on the microscope there, let's say there's one or two balls maybe in the middle here that have jumped together, and I've got to take two of them out. When you're using the soldering iron and the copper wick, you've got to touch a bigger area than just one ball. So then you've got to try and get all the little pads clean and redo that balling again. So grab a sip of cold drink here quickly. Alright, so let's take some of the isopropanol alcohol. I just got a holder like this, and then what you do is you push down and the alcohol comes out, and then you clean whatever you need to clean. So let's start. Oh, the chip's still hot, so let's just put a little bit of alcohol on it first. Just cool it down a little bit, slightly. Okay, there we go. And I'll try and hold it with a tweezer while we're cleaning it. It might just be a little bit easier. Alright, let's just give it a scrub. So you can see, let's just zoom you guys out a little bit more. Okay, so as you can see, it's holding with a tweezer on the side, giving it a bit of a scrub. Just make sure there's no nonsense anywhere in between. Like there, I can see there was a hair there. Alright, so that looks good. Okay, so all the balls have stuck to the chip. We don't have any loose balls, so we don't have to reball any area. I can see there's a hair again. There's one hair on this damn brush now. Sorry guys, I don't know where this comes from. Obviously from the brush, but where on the brush? Okay, anyway, we'll clean that later. Alright, let's just zoom back into the chip now, so we can inspect every single ball. I know it's out of focus, give me a second. Alright, let's just run across quickly. Just grab my other tweezers, there we go. Let's just run across this and just make sure they're all looking good. Okay, the towel's still a bit hot. Just burning our fingers here. I don't know if that's the hair or if that's just where the hair was. No, there's still a hair on this damn chip. It's probably my brush that's dirty. Maybe got a hair from another console somewhere. Let's try and get that hair out there. We don't want that to interfere and make any trouble somewhere. Just looping around everything here now. Alright. Come on, man. Okay, that one's off. It's this one here now. Okay. I don't know if that's also... Oh, come. Yeah, there's another one. Okay, that one's out. Okay, let's make sure tweezer's got nothing on it. Yep. Alright. Chip looks good. These lines here. Yeah, another one. Probably really wouldn't make a big difference, but I don't want it to mess around. I don't want to redo everything again. As you could see, I had to do everything by hand in the first place because I don't have a jig for it. So I'd rather not mess around. Let's not take shortcuts. Okay, that one's also out. Alright, looking good. Then double check the top corner there quickly. Yeah, as I thought, there was one more there. Okay, let's just move all these other old solder balls. So luckily we didn't need any other solder balls, so I can wipe that off the top here now. We don't want them to get stuck to anything here. Alright, so everything looks good. So make sure this one's on properly. Yeah, that looks good. The other one was the top right. Okay, that looks good. It's melted in properly there, so it's not going to mess around. Okay, cool. So now the other job is the main chip. Oh, sorry, the board itself. So let's take this chip away here. Let's make sure. Yeah, the other side looks okay. Let's just clean that off a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to put the chip one side. Just going to put it on the hot air station for now. And let's start with the board. Because now the board needs to be clean. The solder, you get all solder off the board. If you don't get the solder off the board, then your balls aren't going to line up properly on the board. Okay, there we go. Alright, so I wish I can zoom out a little bit further for you guys. Alright, let me just move the board up a little bit. So there's the HDMI port. Sorry, I see that little plate shining there. There's all the diodes in that. I've tested all those diodes and caps. They all look fine. Tested all the filters for the HDMI side. So now the next thing, obviously, like I said, is obviously going to be the HDMI IC. Alright, so if I zoom in here, you can see that's old solder. So the old solder needs to come off. Okay, you can't just put that chip now back onto here. So let's zoom back out again. And then what we're going to do is we're going to clean all this old solder off. Should be fine. You should be able to see that. Yeah. Alright, so first thing we do is we put some flux on the board. Okay, you must always have flux on the board, please guys. Don't not use flux, especially when reballing, okay? Because if you don't do that, you pull the pads. Alright, so this is the tip I'm going to be using. It's a blade tip. But before I even attempt to remove them, I take normal leaded solder and I put it on this blade tip. Okay, let's just put it on there. And then what I do is, you can see it's like a blob. If you look nicely, it's a blob. So I hardly even touch the board. And then I just run this blob all over the points, okay? We'll see now, maybe after lightning damage, maybe one of the pads are pulled or pads are burnt. We'll see once we clean this board properly. Alright, so there you could see we got, so what this does is it's lead free solder. We're just mixing it up. Should have put the fan on. I'm getting a lot of smoke in my face here from the flux. Sorry guys, let me just put my fan on. I know it's going to make a noise, but yeah, guess it's for my health, eh? Even though I smoke, doesn't really make a big difference, eh? But I'm sure this is probably worse than smoking. Okay, so now what we do is we take our shoulder wick and we start lightly. You don't put a lot of pressure down, because if you put a lot of pressure, you're going to scratch the pads. Okay, so all you do is lightly touch it to the board. Okay, and as you can see, as we're going along, it's soaking up all that solder, the old solder, the new solder we just put on, and the points are getting nice and they're looking good. So you hardly even touch this. The soldering iron, you just rest softly, very softly. You don't even with all the weight of the soldering tip, and then you pull the soldering wick along, and it floats. Basically, it floats over the flux. So the flux becomes like a let's take like soap as the example. So it becomes like it feels like soap, you know, like you put soap on the board. Okay. Just going to check where the smoke goes away, we can see what's going on. Okay, there's one little tip there. It looks good. It looks good. We might have to go over it again, but we'll check now. Alright, let's just put the soldering iron back. Right, I'm going to clean this off first with some isopropanol again and a brush. Okay, let's just make sure. I can see maybe one or two pads that I'm not too happy with. Because if you don't get this perfect, the balls are going to be like a little bit skew on the board. Just zoom in there quickly. I think let's just focus that up. Yeah, you can see there's one there. There's one there, and there's one with a little bit. So let's just put a little bit more flux on there. There's one there, and there's one there. There's a little dot on it. And then I see there's another one this side also. Okay, let's just get our solder wick again. I'm just going to cut off a piece of the solder wick. There's too much solder on there now. So as you guys can see, you know, when customers think we maybe just plug something out and plug something back into the board again, and we didn't actually do a repair, they think it's quick and easy, but some of these repairs are really not easy, guys. Okay, let's just get that small piece away there first. Okay, that's gone. This pad, yeah, I wasn't happy about. Alright, and there was one small one on the left side. Don't want to stick to anything. Yeah, that looks good. That looks good. Alright, so let's zoom these guys back out again. And focus up. Alright, so let's just get rid of that some of that other flux there. So it's checking on the cameras. Sounds like there was somebody here. Alright, so looks good. I'm happy with that. Try and wipe some of the alcohol away. Should we just use the heat gun? Just dry some of that up. There we go. Alright, looking good. Okay. I think that's good enough. Oh, one thing I didn't check. No, this could be a problem. One thing I didn't check is which side this chip goes. I stripped it before I actually looked at it. But if I look here, you see usually what would happen is there will be a little dot on the board to show you where the pin is. Now, mind you, I think they're talking about that there, but there's a dot there. Let me move it up a little bit. So usually your chip would line up with that dot there, but if I look at this one here, it's got a slight slant to it and the others are square. And then the chip, just clean it properly, you'll see the chip itself has got a dot on it too. You can see that dot, so I think it lines up with that dot in the bottom left corner. Just going to flip it around. Yeah, you see, and what I can see here, to the bottom of the chip, that side there is the copper side. These are all like silver. Okay, well guys, I don't want to make a mistake and put this on and it's not right. So let me just, give me a second. I'm just going to try and see if I've got another board lying around with a silicon image chip on it, just so I can double check it. I think it is right, but yeah, the markings on these boards aren't that perfect. Give me a second, let me quickly have a look at that. Sorry guys, I know it takes a bit of time. I wish I could pause and just start again, but OBS can't, and I don't have time to edit all the videos every day. Got too many repairs to do. Give me 1 sec guys. Okay, so my luck, I don't have the exact same board, but I do have a, oh, we could put the fan off now, so it's a little bit quieter for you guys. Sorry about that. Sitting here listening to fans. If I could put music on I would, but don't want to get a Google strike, a YouTube strike. So I found another one, but if you look at the orientation of that one, so obviously the HDMI ports on this edge of the board, just to the left. But now this one is different. So this one looks like that, and the HDMI ports here on the bottom right, and the filters are there. So let's just try and see if we can get some way of seeing where that dot, yeah, you see the dot lines are perfectly there. But the problem is, on this other board, you can't see that marking perfectly like that. Sure. So let's just try and see underneath this corner of this chip. I can't really see there. Alright, so I'm going to take a chance. I'm hoping that's the way they've marked it. I don't know. Just to double check around the chip. There's no other dot anyway, so yeah, I think that's the only place they can line up. So yeah, as I say, there's no other dot anyway, so I'm going to take a chance on this one. So I'm sure you guys can see what I mean here. Just get a view there. There's the dot on the board, and there's the dot on the chip. Alright, so I've showed you guys that in other videos already before. Alright, well I'm going to take a chance. I'm sure that's what it is. I'm just going to zoom out quickly so we can get this chip lined up properly. Sorry, the board's standing at an angle because of the power supply pins. Just going to move that up like that. Alright, so now to place this chip and make sure that it is actually sitting properly on each contact, we're going to line it up, and we're going to push down slightly and move it around until we feel it's locked in place. So that's locked in place. So we lift our finger up, we're just going to stick to our finger, so we're going to use a tweezer, and we're going to lift it slowly. Alright, so that should be in place now. Alright, we're not using any flux or anything now, because we don't want to mess around with it moving around. I just need to try and get this positioned differently, just so I can get the board flat. Sorry guys, I just want to move this around there quickly. Alright, so I'm just turning it a little bit that way, because I want the board to sit perfectly flat before I reflow to the board. I'm actually going to zoom out here, and then just zoom back in again. Alright, so that should be fine. I just hope that dot there is the dot. If it's not, damn, I'll have to redo this whole thing again. But anyway, let's try that. As I said, this is a bit of a long video, but it takes time, guys, to do this. I'm just going to put you guys on full view again, so I can do something while you guys can't see me that I shouldn't be doing on video, because we probably got kids watching. Right, so hot air, I'm going to put on my setting number 3. That is at 495 degrees at 50 airspeed. Now remember, not all hot air stations are the same. This is my hot air station setting that I prefer to work with, and it works for me. So all we're going to do now, we're coming in with a hot air, and then we're just going to heat the chip. Alright, so we're going to heat it so we can get some of that solder to melt and let it start sticking to the board. Remember, this is only the first part of the process. We're not using any flux here yet. We will in a second. We just want to get this to stick properly to the, well, stick to the board more or less at the right place, because the next part becomes a bit more difficult than this part. So we're just preheating it basically at the moment. Okay, so we're coming from the left. So yeah, these ball chips, when you got to reball a chip, it's a lot more work. It's a bit of a mission. It's a bit of a challenge to me, because well, it shouldn't actually be a challenge, because the person does so many south bridges. So I mean, this isn't that easy. Let's just move it from the other side. Usually what I try and do is try and look at it from the bottom, but from the side, to look through the bottom of it. But we can't do that today, so I'm just going to heat it up and hope that it starts sticking. The nice thing is that we do use lead-free solder balls, solder spheres, some people call it. So what happens is it melts at a lower temperature. Sorry, I know I'm blocking your view, but I've got to come in from the top a little bit also. So coming from this side too. Okay, I think it should be seated. Not perfect yet, but I'm sure it's grabbed at some places already. Okay, let's just give it a few seconds just to cool down. Okay, so let's just see what it does. What we can do is just let it cool down a little bit, and we just touch it slightly on the one corner, maybe with a tweezer, just to check if it's stuck to the board. If it's stuck to the board, then we can start applying some flux. I know this might not be hell of interesting. It's not like a PS4 South Bridge. Okay, looks like this is stuck to the board now. But it's still nice to see on the older consoles, you know, what can be done. And if they do come right. Let's just quickly do that and zoom out a little bit of that one and fine tune it for you so you can see nicely. I'm going to zoom back out there. I'm going to zoom back in here. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put some flux. Alright, so now we apply flux all around the chip. So what you'll see is when we start heating it up, this flux will get drawn under right into the bottom of the chip. So it'll go right inside underneath the chip. It'll get drawn in. You can actually see in the top here it's drawn in already. So it's sliding in under the chip. That's where we want to see. But with the heat, you'll see it'll slide right in underneath, and that's what we want, because we want the flux to bind all those little solder balls nicely to the board. Alright, so let's take some hot air again. We're going to start from far away, just so that we can get the flux to start melting slowly. And then what you're going to see is the chip, we're going to nudge the chip once it's at the right temperature and everything's perfect. Just try catch it from that side a little bit, because the flux is moving all over the show now. But it's going to do that, it's going to run. There's nothing you can do. Okay. Try and blow some back in underneath from the other side. Just one tip I can give you guys: when you're working with hot air on the board, make sure that there's no little capacitors, those little round capacitors anywhere. If you've been doing repairs for quite a while, I'm sure you've done the Xbox One S. There's one capacitor close to a very tiny chip that has blown, that usually blows up when it gets a little bit too much heat. And I can tell you one thing: if I didn't have my microscope on that day, that cap would have blown up and it would have probably taken my eye out. So just remember, any repair, be very cautious. Try and wear safety glasses if you can. You never know what's going to explode on the board if it gets too much heat. Alright, so I think the flux is perfect now underneath the chip. So now we're just going to do the heating up now. Sorry about that. So I'm going to heat it up now, start getting some heat into this chip, and then we're going to do a nudge. You're just going to nudge it, and you'll see what it does is it actually, but you've got to nudge it very, 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 very softly. It's just got to wobble. It's got to like move and jump back into place. You can see the flux is going in underneath the chip now. You can actually see the chip is moving a little bit, so that means it's pulling it into place. Okay, that should be seated properly. I just hope these 0.5mm solder balls are the right size. Alright, so now for the nudge test. Alright, so we're going to come in with a tweezer. So if you keep an eye on the chip, I just don't know if it's hot enough yet, but if you keep an eye on the chip, there we go, it's moved into place again properly. So it's perfect. Now we're just going to nudge it. There we go. Did you see that? So I'm just nudge it at the bottom again, just so you guys can see it moves, but it goes back into place again. Okay, so there we go. I'm sure you saw that. I'm not going to do it again because it's quite a risk, because the solder balls can touch each other when you do that. So as you could see, it was a slight nudge, very, very slight nudge. Alright, so that should be done. But now remember, we've got to clean this off so we can get all the flux out underneath the chip, but we don't want to do it right now because the board is still very hot, and I don't want to damage the chip or knock off any of the items on the main board around the chip when we're scrubbing it with alcohol. So, oops, okay, that's me already bumping the board. Luckily it was just a soft one. Alright, so we're going to just give that a little bit of time. Okay, let's change the view again. So yeah, that's how you do. The Southbridge chip works exactly the same. The only difference is with the Southbridge chip, it's a lot bigger, it's got a lot more balls. But what we do then is, on the Southbridge chip, we use a stencil. Oh, so what we use there for the Southbridge is a gadget like this. Let me try and see if I can put it under the scope for you. I'm not going to move the board. So the light's shining on it now. But anyway, so you see we use something like this. So we put the chip in there, in this part here. It grabs all four corners of the chip, and then what we do is we put this over the top, and then we chuck in the solder balls. Like, remember what I said to you, that game where you wobble it around, and then the solder balls go into each little hole, goes to the pad. You remove this and you start heating up the chip just like we did now, and you flow it on properly just like as we did just now. and that's how we do the south bridges. You could see from there, there's a whole lot more balls than there are on this one here. All right, so let's just try and let's just feel it. It's still a bit warm, so I'm just going to take some alcohol and just dab it around the chip, just to cool the board down a little bit, and the chip. Okay, it's not too bad. It's already cooled down quite a lot. Because now what we need to do is we need to scrub this to get most of this flux off the board, and it's always easier to try and do that when the board is a little bit warmer, even though the flux does cool it down. But what we want to do is we want to get underneath this chip, and the only way we can do that is by turning the board. So let's change the view here quickly for you guys. I'm going to move the microscope. So what we usually do here is I hold the board at an angle like this, and then there's the chip there that we need to do, and then I try and get the flux to go in underneath, and I scrub each edge of it. Alright, so we can get this nice and clean, because we don't really want any flux underneath the board or underneath the chip itself. Alright, then we're going to flip it that way, so the alcohol runs at the bottom of the chip on this side, and you can do it that side, so we get it drenched in alcohol, so it really washes out most of it. We don't have a what you call it, a what you call it, ultrasonic cleaner, so we just got to do it the hard way. Alright, just going to take some compressed air and just blow it out quickly, just get all the alcohol off in 1 second. Alright, now the next thing we want to do, I'm going to change the view back again so we can look underneath this this chip here. Alright, so what we want to do now, don't know if there's enough light. Let's try and see if we can look underneath there. I've got to move it further away or closer. Oh, that's not looking good. Okay, now it looks like it's just flux. Alright, just try and clean some of that flux out there. Sorry guys, give me a sec. Because if any of these solder balls touched while we were doing the reflow, then we got a problem. Okay, I'm not getting it focused properly for you guys, but I'm going to try and just check under a microscope. Yeah, that's mainly just flux. It's sitting a little bit flat. I'm a little bit worried about it sitting so flat, because that means we might have the wrong size solder balls. We might have to have gone with 0.5 or a 6.6. Let's check this side. I hope we didn't have to go to 0.6 on this one. Damn it. Okay. Well, we'll soon find out. We're going to soon find out. So, just going to give it one more scrub quickly. You see these solder balls sit in a lot deeper than they do on the south bridge. The south bridges are right on the edge. Now with this one, you can't really get the brush in underneath to try and get to see what's going on there. But that should be good enough. I'm just hoping that they're not too flat. And there's a very good chance that this one might not even come right. Let's have a look. Alright, so let's move the microscope. We don't need that now. I'm just going to take some alcohol and clean this counter quickly, just to get rid of some of the flux here, so we have it sticky all over the place. I'm just using some alcohol for this. Hey, and if you guys like the video so far, hit a like. You know, it's with YouTubers, at least, you know, when people like your videos or they subscribe, we know we're doing a good enough job and you guys enjoying the video. If you don't like it or you don't subscribe, we don't really make much videos. I'll show you guys how to do this type of stuff because we don't think anybody's interested. Anyway, let me grab the rest of the console. We don't need to put everything. We don't need to put everything together. We just want to make sure we can see if there's any visuals. I don't feel the power supply, so I don't know where the rest of the console is. I'm just going to try and see. Oh, if I can find everything. Okay, I'm sure it is somewhere. Let's just get the board in first, because what I want to do is I just want to get the board in. So again, no visuals. Alright, so let's quickly our top screen is black because we don't have the scope on. Let's just go to the top. There we go, top view. Alright, so we need to put some thermal paste on here first. Let's just grab some thermal paste. If I can find it. Okay, well, I'm just going to use what's this? What do we got here? Dow Corning. Okay, so we're just going to use the Dow Corning paste for now, and let's see what happens. Okay, a little bit of paste there. Sorry guys, I know it's not in view. I'm just trying to get this done properly. Give me 1 second. I just want to get all this flux, this paste out. The stuff's making a bit of a flippin' mess at the moment. I hate this other paste. Just for testing. Sorry about the dog. She's obviously here's something. Just make sure everything's there where it should be. Alright, that's there. Just give me 1 second. Alright, it should be fine like that. Let's get the top plate. The top plate on here quickly. I must be very honest with you guys, I haven't stripped the PS3 for such a long time. I don't really work on the PS3s that much anymore, unless it's board level stuff. So I'm going to have to go through everything and remember what I did to put them back together. Rudy does all our PS3 repairs, unless it's board level stuff, and I wouldn't actually be doing the assembly now. I would have given it to him to disassemble again, but he's not here. It's a Saturday, it's after 1 o'clock at the moment. So we close at 1 on a Saturday. It is now 2:15. So that's why he's not here. So I should get a view for you guys that you can see properly. I'm going to just make the one camera a little bit bigger. And at least when I'm chatting to you guys can see me and you guys can see what I'm doing. Let's try and just shift that a little bit. Alright, there we go. I don't know, that's the black one, that's because of the scope. Let's just move the scope out the way. Alright, then at least you guys can see what's going on there. Come on, OBS. Alright, so that's on. Let's just get the 2 plates quickly, just for the main processor side. I think everything's on his table. Give me 1 second quickly. Okay, we got the power supply, we got everything else we need. I just don't know on the PS3s if you have to have everything in before it'll boot up. But like I say, I must be honest, I'm not too, I don't feel too positive about this machine, because the house was hit quite bad with lightning. so it could have blown more than just the HDMI IC, but well, let's see. Let's hold thumbs. Well, if not, didn't come right. Hey, at least you guys saw a video of a reball. And again, there's a very good chance when you've got no visuals that it's just a reball that's needed. Well, not just a reball. It's usually the main processor, main IC chip. In this case, not the Panasonic one, the other one. Can't even remember the name now. I'm sure one of you guys would remember that. In this case, it was that chip there we replaced. So even if this doesn't come right, hey, at least you guys know what to replace. If you have an old console like this and you do have a visuals problem and it's not the HDMI port or the HDMI filters. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this one to plug in perfectly so we don't damage it. Why does this not feel right? There we go. Alright, we got the on, off and eject button there. I don't see that we're going to need anything else. Okay, we obviously need the power side. The power side will go into the PS3 in the back. So we need the plug. We don't need to connect to earth immediately. Like I say, guys, I haven't done this for such a long time. There goes my dog again. Sasha. Okay. Alright, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else we're going to need. I don't think so. So, let's just move that up. I hope I don't blow my TV again, like I have done in the past with a faulty HDMI side on a console. It cost us 3,800 rand to replace this card inside this TV because I machine blew the port side, the HDMI side. Let's change the view quickly. Like I said, I don't know if this is going to work, or I'll have to assemble the whole console. Come on, which one is the right view now? I think it was this view, so I'll have to change this for you guys quickly. Let's just make myself bigger again, then you guys can see the TV properly. So let's just make that side smaller and make that side bigger. Alright, so let's have a look. Again, I don't know, we have to plug everything in, but anyway. Alright, so we're just going to move that to the right. And then, okay, we need power and we need HDMI. So let's just grab those two. Let's plug in the power first. Let's switch it off with the switch. Okay, power's in. Let's do the HDMI side, HDMI. Okay, HDMI cable's in. Let's just check if it picks it up on the source. While it does show, it shows the power there. So give us one sec. Switch it on. Okay, red light's on. Sorry, I don't think I've plugged the fan in. Let's just plug the fan in quickly. Okay, if we can get it in. Ah, man. Let's just pull that all out again. Sorry guys, I should have checked that before the time. As I said, I haven't done these PS3s for such a long time, so forget about these small little stupid things. Because they sit on different places than the PS4s and Xboxes. I'm so used to doing them already, I don't even know how to do these consoles anymore. Okay, so let's just quickly plug in power again. Power supply. Plug in the little plug. I hope you guys can hear me even though Microsoft's microphone's a little bit further away. But it should be okay. Alright, so let's power up. We've got a red light. Let's hold thumbs guys. Let's see. Okay, green light. Are we going to have visuals? Ah, flip man. Should maybe plug in the HDMI cable there. Come on, baby. I don't know if it's going to boot because we don't have a hard drive in it. But it should at least give us the black screen. It doesn't look good. Doesn't look good at all. All right. I'm going to pop the hard drive in. Let's see what happens. I don't think it needs the drive and everything to boot up. It should go into you know, like it should throw error code or something if it is. Just to make sure. See, so it does show, as you can, well, it shows that it's connected. Just to make sure I'm on the right setting here. Yeah, HDMI 1. Let's put the power back on. Oh, come on. Don't do this to us, man. Man. Not even a boot screen. Can you believe it? All of that and it doesn't work. Okay, let's try and get into the boot menu. See if we can get into a boot menu, get lower resolution. Okay, it's a different problem. This is not the HDMI IC chip. As you can see, you can't get into a boot menu. So it's supposed to give you a second beep and then you let go so you can see the boot menu. It's not doing that. So that means that there's another short on the board somewhere. This is not just the HDMI IC that's gone. That makes me think that an HDMI IC is actually fine. Alright, so this didn't work. So I'll have to go through the board and start from scratch again. So what we might need to do here is we might have to try the Southbridge chip. The only problem with this console is that if it gets too expensive, the customer's insurance isn't going to go ahead because they need to do an insurance claim on this. So this can be a bit pricey, and again on these consoles it might not be worth it. With the insurance, how they work is if it costs more than 30% of the replacement value of something in the same, something the same, so they probably replace this with a PS4 Slim now. In South Africa, even though the PS5 is out, you can still get a Slim for 6,999, 5,999. So they might just replace it with a PS4 Slim. And to be honest, I think that's going to be the best way with this console. I don't think we should even carry on spending time on this. It's just going to become a bit of an issue, and we don't have all the parts anymore for the PS3s unless we import them. We got a couple here and there. I could do have some Southbridges we could probably try, but I don't think it's going to be worth it on this console. I think what we should just do is obviously lightning damage can't be repaired, and it's going to be better for the customer to get a replacement one. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that video. I'm going to maybe do another video now on the other one, which is a PS4 Pro. I have a feeling, I must double check what it's doing, but I have a feeling it might be the power side. I think it's the power side. I'll just double check on that one. And I think we did try another power supply, and it's not power supply. I'll just double check there. But then I'll do another video on that one, and we can try and see what the problem is there. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please, again, like I said, please subscribe to our videos and hit the like button. You know, if you don't, then I don't really know if anybody is really interested in watching these videos. I know I don't really get you all the comments. I really battle because, like I say, I do little repairs also during the day. Try and comment. I might get back to you. I'm so sorry if I don't. We're just so busy. I don't always have the time to do that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. At least you learned something. I'm sure you guys did. But yeah, till the next one. Have a good day. Thanks. Bye-bye.